In this illustration, I will use an example involving baseball. And so our job is simple. In this case, we would just need to understand who is the better player, player A or player B. And we have the statistics for both players, as you can see, their hits times at bats, their batting average. And we also have those organized by how many times they faced right-handed versus left-handed pitchers. So apparently in the baseball realm, facing left-handed pitchers is more challenging than right-handed pitchers because there are just less left-handed pitchers than right-handed ones, and so hitters aren't facing them as often, and so they don't get as much practice with that kind of pitching, and they have to make adjustments that are more difficult, etc. So we wouldn't expect their batting averages to be as high against left-handers as right-handers. So with that in mind, we have for player A, we have a batting average of .284 against right-handers and .223 against left-handers. Okay, and for player B, we have a little bit higher for each. With right-handers, we have .296, and for left-handers, we have .232. So by all accounts so far, it looks like player B has is going to be the better one because their average is better against both right-handers and left-handers. However, if we look across the averages to the total average, as you can see in the overall row at the bottom, we see that player A had 116 hits out of a total of 452 times at bat. And so when you do that math, that is a batting average overall of .257. For player B, they got 90 hits out of a total of 350 times at bat, and their average is lower. It's .251. And so here we have the reversal paradox again, where we have, by all accounts, when we look at left-handed and right-handed pitchers against those kind of pitchers, we have player B is coming out on top. But when we look across at the overall average, we see player A is slightly better. And so, again, the paradox is there where we don't know who is the better player. Now, if we were being paid money to solve this, how would we do it? Well, we would want to think if player A faced the more challenging pitcher more times or less times than player B. That's where we would want to start because we have, again, this hidden variable, and that is the number of times that the players faced the more difficult situation. And what did player A face that situation disproportionately more or less than player B? And so that's what we need to figure out. So so let's figure that out first. So player A, it looks like, faced right-handed pitchers 55% of the time. And the way we calculate that, of course, is we look at the times at bat for the right-handed pitchers over the total times at bat. So we have 250 times at bat against right-handed pitchers over a total of 452 times, and that's 55%. For player B, on the other hand, we're going to look at right-handed pitchers, the number of times that they were at bat against those, and we have 108. And then total times at bat, 358 times, and that is 30%. So notice that player B had a more difficult task. Player B faced left-handed pitchers many more times than player A, and whereas player A got to face mostly right-handed pitchers. So, and they're the easier ones to hit against. And so because of that, we're going to get these conflicting results, and we don't know who is better yet. So how do we fix this? Well, the overall averages are misleading us again, just like they were in the previous problem. The overall selection rates for gender were misleading us. And so we need to make sure that we equalize so that we can compare player A and player B fairly, assuming that they had the same difficulty, basically. And right now they don't have the same difficulty because player A seemed to have things a little bit easier than player B. So what we need to do is take an average of their averages. So we would, for player A, we would take 0.284 plus 0.223, and then we would divide by 2 because we have just right-handed and left-handed, just two situations there, and we would get an overall average of 0.253. And that's a little bit less than what we saw here, 0.257, without equalizing them, without equalizing that player's averages. So what we basically did is we ensured that these averages are going to be comparable to the averages of player B, basically, because we want to account for or control for the number of times that they faced the more difficult situation, the left-handers. Okay, so for player B, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to take 0.296 plus 0.232 and divide by 2, and this is going to be 0.264. And this puts player B rightly in the lead because we have player B with an average of, again, the average of the averages is 0.264 versus 0.253. And player B should be in the lead because they were the best in both the right-hand and left-handed pitcher situations. And so that is how we resolve this reversal paradox. So, if this is not feeling comfortable at this time with these understanding these paradoxes, go back through, listen again, take note of the details I've provided in the notes at the bottom of the slides, and just keep in mind that there is another variable that is impacting our results that we're not accounting for, and in the first case, it was the competitiveness of the program, and males and females were applying to that more difficult program in disproportionate numbers. And same thing with this paradox here. We have a more challenging situation. One player is facing that challenge more often, and that is biasing the results in a certain way that can make us infer that this situation there's conflicting information basically coming out of the data that we can resolve when we remember the full picture. And so thinking about the full picture is very important to resolving these reversal paradoxes.